Welcome to the Purchasing and Reimbursement Training for the George Mason University Club Sport Program. This training is required on an annual basis for all Club Sport executive officers. Upon completion of this training, attendees will have a better understanding of how to navigate the purchasing and reimbursement process for their club. Unfortunately, clubs are not permitted to have off-campus bank accounts. All purchases must be submitted through your club sport administrator. George Mason University has three primary methods in which we can make purchases. Number one, university purchase card, or otherwise referred to as a Visa. Number two, a purchase order, often referred to as a PO. And the third method, a payment request form. So, who may request purchases on behalf of the club? Club executive officers are responsible for coordinating and approving of all purchases for their organization. Coaches may not submit purchase requests to the club sports office. The university categorizes purchases into two main categories. The first being purchases under $5,000. The recommended method of payment for this and the most efficient and quickest method being university purchase card or Visa. Visa or purchase card may not be used for any purchases over $5,000, and it may also not be used to pay individuals. The second category is all purchases over $5,000. In this situation, a purchase order must be issued. Purchase orders are used to pay any vendor that does not accept credit card and any of those that are over $5,000. All new vendors must submit a substitute Virginia W-9 form and register for electronic payment. Instructions on how to register new vendors is included in this presentation. All payments may take up to 30 days for the vendor to receive payment from the university if they have enrolled in the direct payment option through purchasing. The next method is payment requests. These are typically used for entry fees in which organizations do not accept credit card. Many universities that we pay often have to use payment requests for entry fees. Payments to individuals, such as referees, officials, judges for your sports, will also utilize payment requests. Any new vendor or referee will also need to register through the registration process and submit a substitute Virginia W-9 form and register for electronic payment. Any vendor that chooses not to register for direct deposit or electronic payment, payments may take up to 60 days for them to receive. So please use this purchasing flow chart to help navigate to the proper payment method for a specific purchase. So, university purchase card. What can these be used for? Common purchases made with a university P card are team equipment, uniforms, hotels and airfare, entry fees, and t-shirts. These purchases can be made online or over the phone by your club sport administrator. Prior to submitting a request, please verify that the vendor does in fact accept credit card and provide an invoice or list of items to be purchased to your club sport administrator. Providing as much detail as possible will help ensure your order is accurate and make the most efficient use of time. What types of purchases are typically made? Team equipment is one of the more common purchases made by clubs. Personal equipment, kept by individuals and not the team, should not be purchased with university funds. Hotels and lodging. Remember, do not make payment for hotels utilizing your own money, as the university will not reimburse these expenses. Travel is a major component of club sport participation and takes a great deal of coordination by the club's executive officers. Trips which require a hotel should make plans and reservations as early as possible to ensure availability and get the best possible pricing. Mason Club Sports has partnered with Lucid Travel to provide a hotel reservation platform for club officers. Lucid Travel offers competitive pricing and pulls the best offers from various websites. Food and beverage is a common purchase made by clubs throughout the year. Self-generated revenue must be used for all food and beverage purchases and reimbursement. Alcohol purchases are not permitted. Should your club wish to make a food and beverage purchase for a recruitment or social event, or for a team meal during an away trip, please make sure you receive approval beforehand. Like all club operations, plans should be made in advance for food and beverage requests, and they must be purchased using self-generated revenue. For requests taking place on campus in Fairfax, please contact your club sport administrator a minimum of 3 business days prior to your event to ensure that we can make the purchase and payment in advance. If you are planning to have a team meal during an away trip, which you would like to be reimbursed for, club officers must include any possible reimbursements on the travel request form. Reimbursement requests that have not been pre-approved will be denied. Individual personal meals may not be paid for using University P card and are not eligible for reimbursement. Uniforms and team apparel. George Mason University Athletics has a contract with Adidas, and club sports teams receive 50% off the retail price listed in the Adidas online team catalogs. So we would be paying the wholesale rates. A link to the Adidas catalogs is included in this presentation. If you are interested in purchasing club Adidas apparel for your club, please contact your club sport administrator to research product availability. Please provide detailed information including item number, color, sizes, and quantities. We are not eligible to purchase anything outside of Mason's colors, which would be a black, gray, white, green, gold, or white. T-shirts and embroidery are a common purchase among club members. If your club is interested in purchasing t-shirts or anything involving screen printing or embroidery services, please make sure that you use one of the university contracted vendors. A link to the vendor list is available in this presentation. If you have any questions for clarification, please contact your club administrator. Sublimated uniforms. Many clubs have moved to the use of sublimation as a form of customizing their uniforms and apparel. So what exactly is sublimation and how does it differ from screen printing? Sublimation involves the use of dye to change the color of fabrics, while screen printing is a process in which ink is added on top of the fabric to create a design. Uniforms, t-shirts, and apparel utilizing sublimation are exempt from the requirement to use one of the contracted screen printing vendors. This is the one exception where we can use any vendor that is licensed through the CLC to purchase items. Personal items. If your club is planning to provide items to players to keep, we highly recommend that this be done through an online store. Online stores are a very efficient way for fundraising and to separate team and personal items. The credit card payment process. This is the preferred method for payment for any club purchases. Please use this flowchart to help navigate the purchase card process. Purchase orders are the second most common form of payment and more commonly identified as a PO. POs may take up to 30 days for a vendor or individual to receive payment from the university. As of July 1st, 2021, the George Mason University is moving to an electronic payment and receipt process. All new vendors must register with the university using the vendor maintenance form below. The link is on this slide. Returning vendors may update their information or request to be enrolled in direct deposit by submitting the same form. Purchase orders are needed for any payment to an individual or purchases $5,000 and above. At the need to make a payment using a purchase order, it is extremely important that club officers communicate with the vendor regarding 1. The payment timeline, when they expect to be paid, how to register as a new vendor or update their existing information. Common purchases using POs are payments to individuals, example, referees, individuals seeking payment for services rendered, payments $5,000 and above to any businesses or vendors, payments when a vendor does not accept a purchase card or visa, facility and charter bus rentals, and honorarium payments. So charter buses. Is it possible to reserve a charter bus for your club? Absolutely. Unfortunately, charter bus rentals are not an economical solution for your club. Typically, charter bus services are used for longer trips to regional and national events. Should your club like to request or make a charter reservation, there are several steps that need to take place. First, you will need to create a trip itinerary. Second, you will need to contact a vendor and include the trip itinerary with a detailed list of the trip. Please see your club sport administrator on that email. The final step will be requesting a purchase order once we have received the quotes from the vendors. Please see the sample trip itinerary provided on this slide. This is what will need to be provided for each trip submitted to the contracted vendors. Please think this through very thoroughly before sending it. George Mason University has 2 current contracts for charter bus services. Academy Bus, which is the more commonly used for athletics and recreation, and LW Transportation. When contacting these vendors, please utilize the contact information below. LW Transportation information can be obtained by contacting your club sport administrator. This contract is currently under renewal. Navigating the purchase order process. It is important to plan ahead and communicate with the vendor. seeing that payment typically takes 30 days for payment to be received. Please use this purchasing flowchart to navigate the use of a purchase order. The payment request form. The use of a payment request form is another commonly used method of payment for club sport officers. The payment request form is commonly used to pay referees and tournament entry fees in which the vendor does not accept Visa and are less than $5,000. The vendor or payee will need to complete the vendor registration process prior to submitting an invoice for payment. We have created a few sample videos that can be used to help navigate the registration process that are included at the end of this presentation. Reimbursements. What is eligible for reimbursement to club members? Club members are eligible for expense reimbursements if they have been approved in advance. The following items are not eligible for reimbursement: individual meals, lodging, rental vehicles, flights, rail tickets, and cash payments. Please make sure that anything you are seeking reimbursement for has been pre-approved on your travel request or through communication with your club sport administrator. Please use this slide to navigate the reimbursement process. The use of third-party processors such as PayPal and Square. The use of third-party processors is the least preferred method of payment from the university. There are several steps that need to take place if we were to proceed with use of PayPal. One, we would need to provide a screenshot of the vendor website showing that they only accept PayPal. An itemized receipt must be issued by the vendor, and PayPal must generate an email confirming the purchase. We may also not make payments to individuals utilizing third-party payment processing. All payments must be made to a business account. So, how do you pay a coach, a volunteer coach? Is your club interested in recognizing the hard work of your volunteer coach or other support staff? If so, you may do so using an honorarium payment. So what is an honorarium? An operational honorarium is paid to an individual who is not a Mason employee for an activity that supports Mason operations. Operational honoraria are typically paid to individuals, including current Mason students, with the intent of showing appreciation for participation in university education, research, or public service activities. Honorariums are a great way to say thank you to a coach for a job well done. Honorarium payments can be processed quickly if under $2,000. It is highly recommended that all honorarium payments be requested at the end of the fiscal year. Please contact your club sport administrator if you have any interest in submitting an honorarium request for your club sport. Please utilize this flowchart to help navigate the process for submitting an honorarium request. Here are a few helpful links to help you navigate the registration process for any vendors that you may be working with. All vendors, referees, and universities that need to be paid via purchase order or payment request form must pre-register using the steps provided. It is recommended that you share the required documents and links to the vendor registration page. So when communicating with your vendors, university schools, or referees, these links will be extremely helpful. In closing, we'd like to say that please use this presentation as a resource to navigate your purchasing and reimbursement requests throughout the year. Secondly, it is important to be proactive and establish early communication with anyone that needs to be paid. And remember, follow up regularly. And lastly, the club sports administrative staff is here to assist as needed. Have a great year and happy spending.